pressed inside my yearbook on the page for senior spring. A tiny purple orchid on a satin plastic string of memory. You brought it from a kid outside the gym. Your hands were sweating, nervous as you pinned it on the trim of my dress. It felt like royalty, the cheap and fragrant bloom, as we swayed under streamers in that overheated room full of futures. Now it's just a wilted corsage, a fossil of a night when forever felt as certain as the disco ball's cheap light. On our faces, the purples turned to the color of a bruise, a perfect tiny metaphor for the love we laid to lose so carelessly. Oh, this wilted corsage, it's a time capsule sealed with pain, holding all the promises that felt like April rain, and then evaporated. I found it cleaning bookshelves, a dried up paper ghost, and for a second I was 17 again, and you were most the handsome. I could smell the chlorine from your swim team hair, feel the stiffness of your rented tux, the weight of your stare on my face. Then the present rushed back in a colder, harder wave, and the wilted corsage was just the thing I couldn't save from time's crush. Now it's just a wilted corsage, a fossil of a night when forever felt as certain as the disco ball's cheap light. On our faces, the purples turned to the color of a bruise, a perfect tiny metaphor for the love we'd laid to lose so carelessly. Oh, this wilted corsage, it's a time capsule sealed with pain, holding all the promises that felt like April rain, and then evaporated. Maybe I should throw it out, that girl is gone, and so are you. But throwing it away feels like admitting it wasn't true. That feeling, and it was true for that night in that room. The wilted corsage proves it in its miniature tomb of pages. Let it stay, let it be the pressed and fragile proof of a sweetness that was real before it grew aloof and complicated. Just a dried flower, wilted corsage. From a dance that never ended. I sweep the floor on Sundays, a slow and sweeping run, and watch the sun catch motes of our suspended, collected time. In the beam, it's not just dirt, it's fragments of the us that used to be. Skin cells we shed in laughter from your book, a page from me. It's dust of yesterday, a fine pale ghostly silt, a testament to living in the fragile world we build and let crumble. Oh, just dust of yesterday, it's all that's in the pen. After my careful sweeping of the life we'd once began together, I could analyze its contents like an archaeologist. Find a thread from your sweater in this pale and gritty mist of memory, but I just tip it in the bin and watch it fall. The final quiet burial of the biggest dream of all in a dustbin. It gathers in the corners where our feet don't tread anymore, on the shelf that holds the trophy from a '98 baseball. You wanted coats, the vinyl records we danced to in the dark, a soft and gray patina like a fingerprint or mark of absence. It's the physical decay of shared domestic bliss. The dust of yesterday is proof that something was and is now gone. Ooh, just dust of yesterday, it's all that's in the pen. After my careful sweeping of the life we'd once began together, I could analyze its contents like an archaeologist. Find a thread from your old sweater in this pale and gritty mist of memory, but I just tip it in the bin and watch it fall. The final quiet burial of the biggest dream of all in a dustbin. They say dust is mostly skin, the past we sloughed away. So every time I clean, I'm throwing parts of us away. For good, the dust of yesterday is the shed cells of our love, falling softly, endlessly from the heavens up above. Our old life, maybe one day the supply will run out and the air will be clean of you, and I won't find a single hair or memory in the pile. Sweep it out. Dust of yesterday, make room for tomorrow's dust. A single intricately finger-picked acoustic guitar song, wordless vocal harmonies float in the background. The song ends with the sound of a soft brush sweeping, then a final resolving guitar chord. It curves up through the center of this old and quiet house, a spine of polished oak wood without a spouse. Of footsteps coming down, I stand at the bottom looking at the climb, remembering the rhythm, 2 beats at a time. Of you and me, the banister still holds the ghost of your sure grip, as you take the steps 2 at a time, a confident quick trip to where I waited. Now it's just an empty second, a conduit for dust and air, a beautiful unused passage leading to a thoroughfare of empty rooms that doesn't lead to laughter in the morning light, or to whisper conversations in the middle of the night anymore. Oh, this empty staircase, it's the architecture of my life. walking slowly now on creek for every lonely tread. A solo solemn pilgrimage up to our unmade bed of memories. The echoes are on Monday bounce and then return. A lonely conversation that I'm desperate to unlearn, but can't. At the top the view is just the same as from below. A hollow downward spiral into a familiar wall. In stillness, now it's just an empty staircase, a conduit for dust and air, a beautiful unused passage leading to a thoroughfare of empty rooms. It doesn't lead to laughter in the morning light, or to whisper conversations in the middle of the night anymore. Oh, this empty staircase is the architecture of my lack, a soaring wooden symbol of the love I can't get back by climbing. Maybe I should sell the house, this monument to we, but the empty staircase feels like a part of me. Now its emptiness is my emptiness, carved in wood and nailed. To fill it with new footsteps will be a destined fail. To honor what it was, so I'll keep it clean and bare and still, a sculpture in my daily life, a test of my own will to render beauty that leads nowhere. No one descends. Empty staircase, just me and the echo of my own ascent. A piano plays a stately ascending in melody, a string quartet, violins, violatellas, depth and sorrow, the phrases rising and falling like the stairs. The song ends with a single high note from a violin that decays in the imagined space. The 10:15 won't come again. The schedule's been changed. The benches are all empty. The whole arrangement's been rearranged. By the time I sit here out of habit with a ticket to nowhere fast, watching pigeons court and quarrel in the shadows that are cast by the roof. The loudspeakers silent, no arrivals and no goals, just the empty station echoing with phantom highs and lows of goodbye. This empty station is a monument to leaving, to the hope of an arrival. I'm still naively grieving, for the tracks stretch out in both directions, polished bright and cold, telling stories of departures that are centuries old, and one that's mine. This empty station, it's my permanent address, a platform built for waiting in a state of quiet distress, for a train that's been cancelled. I see the ghost of you sometimes in a long coat by the door, but it's just a stranger's shadow on the dusty tiled floor. In the evening light I hear the ghost of laughter from the cafe that is closed, where we shared a muffin once and our future was supposed to begin. Now it's just a key I shuddered with advertisements peeled, This empty station is a monument to leaving, to the hope of an arrival. I'm still naively grieving, for the tracks stretch out in both directions, polished, bright and cold, telling stories of departures that are centuries old, and one that's mine. Oh, this empty station, it's my permanent address, a platform built for waiting in a state of quiet stress, for a train that's been canceled. Maybe I should leave this station, walk out into the town, but the thought of all those moving people makes me shut down and stay put here. The narrative is simple: wait and be alone. Out there the story's complicated, and I'd have to atone for my stillness, so I'll sit until the caretaker locks the gate, a faithful patron of the empty station, accepting my fate as a statue. Last call for nowhere, empty station. All aboard the silence. We named our own collection up in the indigo, connected dots of fiction only we can know, and see the lover's dipper with its handle made of trust, the promise of Orion, belt cinched tight. Must for clear nights we point them out on blankets in the grass, a private starry language that we hoped would last as long as the cosmos. Now it's a fading constellation, losing stars one by one as each memory of its meaning comes undone. In the light of reality, the lines are getting hard to trace between the points of laughter on your once familiar face and the stranger you became. Oh, this fading constellation, soon the sky will be anonymous again, just a vast and silent lie of distance. I look up now and squint, try to find the shape we drew, but the stars have rearranged. Oh, my vision's not as true as it was with you beside me. A satellite cuts through our space, a modern blinking insult to our romantic dead grace. In the heavens, the mythology we built is dissipating, and the fading constellation is simply demonstrating the impermanence of patterns. Now it's a fading chaos in a story to forge imaginary pacts with the infinite. Our pact is broken, our story's at its end, so the fading constellation can finally descend into the pure and caring, beautiful and random night where it belongs. I'll learn the real names by the cool academic light of a star chart and forget the ones we made, just stars now, fading constellation, becoming space again.
Layers of shimmering reverb-drenched guitars create a celestial pulse. The vocal is dreamy and distant. The music swirls and fades like stars disappearing in the dawn.
Used to point and name it, the place where sky meets sea, or land a line of promise of what was yet to be. For us someday we'll go there, you'd say, a vague and sweeping hand toward the blurry, beautiful and ever distant land of tomorrow. I believe the horizon was a place we could arrive, a finish line for striving where our love would stay alive in perpetuity. Now it's just a fading horizon, a line that's losing form, a metaphor for futures that dissolved in a quiet storm of reality. The more I walk towards it, the more it slips away. A mirage of together at the end of every day I spend alone. Oh, this fading horizon is receding with my hope, a beautiful, cruel reminder that I'm learning how to cope without destination. I stand on the same shoreline or the same hill's grassy crest, but the line is softer, hazier. It offers me no rest or promise. It's just atmosphere, a trick of light, and I no longer a goal to reach for, just a feature of the sky. I stand under the someday we envisioned has evaporated clean, leaving just the vast and empty blue and green between me and nowhere. Now it's just a fading horizon, a line that's losing form, a metaphor for futures that dissolved in a quiet storm. letters I never sent, in a notebook late at night with a pen that always skipped in the dim and yellow light of my bedside. The words were urgent, messy, smudged and true, a bleeding of my insides, an indigo and blue for your eyes only. But I was scared or proud or something in between, so the letters stayed as secrets in a private paper scene of confession. Now it's just fading in on pages growing thin, the passionate professions that I never let begin. The journey to you, the blue is turning gray, the lines are getting faint, a self-erasing narrative of love without the taint of reality. All this fading ink is disappearing as I read the perfect metaphor for a love I didn't feel with courage. I flip through them sometimes, these ghostly half-formed pleas, and I can barely make out words like always in theories of us. The paper's brittle, threatening to come apart at the folded seams where I press down with all my heart and my hands. Soon there'll be blank pages with just a ghostly stain where my heart once overflowed in its desperate pain and hope. Now it's just fading in on pages growing thin, the passionate professions that I never let begin. The journey to you, the blue is turning gray, the lines are getting faint, a self-erasing narrative of love without the taint of reality. Oh, this fading ink is disappearing as I read the perfect metaphor for a love I didn't feel with courage. Should I trace over the letters, make them dark and new? But the paper wouldn't hold it, the damage would shine through. Or should I scan them, digitize this disappearing act, preserve the evidence of my own cowardly exact failure to connect? No, let them fade, let the ink return to air, let the words I couldn't speak become a nothing everywhere and nowhere. A silent ending, just a shadow on a page, fading ink, soon nothing. Soon the sound of pen on paper, pages turning warm, slightly distorted, cassette tape aesthetic. The song ends with the sound of a notebook closing softly. Sat upon the shoreline as the blue hour took the sky, and watched the waters quiet, slow and steady goodbye to the land. It wasn't frantic, not a rush, not a fearful flight, just a gradual sure retreat from the claiming of the light. By the moon, each wave came in a little less, reached a little less for me. A gentle cosmic letting go for all the world to see and not lament. This is the fading tide, the love's retreat from my sore shore. It's not a storm, it's not a crash, it's not a war anymore. It's just the water finding its new lower line, leaving behind the wet, dark sand, a vast and empty sign of what was covered. Oh, this fading tide, it takes a piece of me each sweep. Not with violence, but with promises it cannot keep, to return. The treasures that it uncovered aren't shells but broken things, a bottle cap of arguments, the sharp edge that sorrow brings to the surface. I walk the newly exposed and ribbed expanse, feeling the cold suction where our future had its chance, and then receded. The seagulls cry as if they mourn the loss as well, but they're just birds and I am just a woman under a spell of slow withdrawal. This is the fading tide, the love's retreat from my sore shore. It's not a storm, it's not a crash, it's not a war anymore. It's just the water finding its new lower line, leaving behind the wet, dark sand, a vast and empty sign of what was covered. Oh, this fading tide, it takes a piece of me each sweep. Not with violence, but with promises it cannot keep, to return. I know the tide will turn again, the moon will pull it near, but it won't be the same water that caresses cold and clear this stretch of beach, and I won't be the same woman waiting there for its return. The fading tide teaches a lesson in release, that some loves are governed by a distant silent peace that calls them away, and all you can do is watch them go and feel the space they leave behind, and learn the contours of that new raw place. It's gone out. Fading tide, now just the white wet sand. It's gone out. Fading tide, now just the white wet sand. The song came on the radio, a waltz from some old play, and my body knew the movements from afar and gone away. December in the kitchen with the dishes in the sink, my feet began to shuffle and a rhythm made me think of your hands, one on my waist, one holding mine alive. than the silly practice box steps, so clumsy and so soft in the living room. Now it's just a forgotten dance, a muscle memory, a ghost of coordination that belongs to you and me. From a time before the silence, my feet move on the tile, but I'm spinning with a phantom and I'm practicing a smile that feels foreign. Oh, this forgotten dance, it's beautiful and sad, the most fluent conversation that we ever had was without words, and now it's gone. I finish out the pattern, a solo silent turn, and the final note hangs in the air, a lesson I must learn again and again. The dance is in my bones, it seems a part of my foundation, woven in dreams I can't control, but the partner's vanished and a solo waltz is just a woman turning circles in a cloud of fading dust and longing. Now it's just a forgotten dance, a muscle memory, a ghost of coordination that belongs to you and me. From a time before the silence, my feet move on the tile, but I'm spinning with a phantom and I'm practicing a smile that feels foreign. Oh, this forgotten dance, it's beautiful and sad, the most fluent conversation that we ever had was without words, and now it's gone. They say you never forget the way you never forget to ride a bike, but a bike's a solitary thing. This requires a strike of partnership, a trust, of weight exchanged and held. To dance alone is to inhabit a story that's been shelved but not discarded. So I'll dance it when the music accidentally plays this forgotten dance to the echo of those days, until my body forgets. The song ends, forgotten dance, just me standing still. Have 1,000 photographs, but not a single take of how you sounded when you laughed, or the inflections when you shape my name. I searched through all voicemails, but I deleted them in pride or pain. I can't remember which, and now that part of you is dark. A second death, the timbre and the pitch, the soft and specific cry and fall of your narration of ordinary skies is gone. It's a forgotten voice, a melody I can't replay. It slipped out of my memory's grasp, it's faded clean away. Like smoke I try to conjure it, I squeeze my eyes up tight, but all I get is static roaring, an impression of the light in your eyes, silent. Oh, this forgotten voice is the cruelest kind of loss, to have the face but not the sound, to bear the silent cross of amnesia. I hear other men speak, and sometimes for a word or two I'll freeze, thinking I've caught an echo, something recognizably you, but it's never right. It's always off a different key, a different soul, and the disappointment, it is a fresh and gaping hole in my chest. My own voice is changing too, without yours to answer back. It's getting flatter, quieter, losing its old track of joy. It's a forgotten voice, a melody I can't replay. It slipped out of my memory's grasp, it's faded clean away. Like smoke I try to conjure it, I squeeze my eyes up tight, but all I get is static or an impression of the light in your eyes, silent. Oh, this forgotten voice, it's the cruelest kind of loss, to have the face but not the sound, to bear the silent cross of amnesia. Maybe the brain protects us, erasing the sensory weight of a love that causes anguish, sealing our emotional fate in a quieter past. But I take the anguish with the sound, the sharp, specific pain, over this hollow, silent void, this ghost inside my brain that whispers nothing. A forgotten voice is a void where love once spoke, and I am just an archaeologist, desperately trying to evoke a sound from dust. How did you say I love you? Forgotten voice, I'll never know again. You see her in the boardroom, or commanding a PTA. You see her calm in crisis, in a competent, cool way that inspires. She's the rock, the one you call when things go wrong, the one who writes the plan, who sings the steady, bolstering song that will get through. What you don't see is the clay that forms the face, the careful daily sculpting in a hidden private space before the mirror. This is her mask of strength, it's porcelain, it's steel, a masterpiece of I'm okay, that she has learned to feel is real enough. It smiles when the heart inside is breaking stone. It offers wise advice when she is feeling most alone and terrified. Oh, her mask of strength is the most beautiful disguise. It filters out the weakness from her eyes for public consumption. It's been forging disappointment in the fires of letdowns past, each crack expertly hidden, made to look like it will last. Forever she polishes it nightly with the tears she will not shed, and fits it on each morning like a crown upon her head, or a sentence. It's become her face more than her own skin, the price of being the one that everyone leans in upon. Is this armor? This is her mask of strength. It's porcelain, it's steel, a masterpiece of I'm okay that she has learned to feel is real enough. It smiles when the heart inside is breaking stone. It offers wise advice when she's feeling most alone and terrified. Oh, her mask of strength, it's the most beautiful disguise. It filters out the weakness from her eyes for public consumption. One day, maybe in the arms of someone truly safe and true, the mask will feel so heavy she won't know what to do. But let it fall, and underneath the softer, frightened face will peer a woman who is tired of being brave, of living in the fear of being seen as weak. But for now the mask of strength is her best friend. It lets her move through worlds that would destroy her in the end. If they saw the cracks she wears, it well, her mask of strength. It's almost part of her now. The sky outside is cloudless, a brutal cheerful blue, but inside her precious build, a tempest brewing through the chambers of her heart. You never know to look at her calm face, composing emails, tying laces, keeping up the pace of normal. But the barometer is plummeting behind her eyes, a hurricane of what ifs and suppressed, anguished cries is making landfall. This is a private storm. No rain will touch the ground, no thunder will alert the neighbors to the sound of her world breaking. It's all contained within the bone, a cataclysm felt by her and her alone. In perfect silent violence, the winds are made of shame, the lightning, all the bitter words she will not name aloud. Her private storm. She functions through the gale force, makes dinner, pays a bill, while internally the rooftops of her dreams are facing till They tear away, she smiles at the cashier, makes a polite remark, while the tidal wave of loneliness engulfs her in the dark of her own mind. The cleanup will be internal, vast and slow, and no disaster relief will ever really know how to reach her. This is her private stone. No rain will touch the ground, no thunder will alert the neighbors to the sound of her world breaking. It's all contained within the bone, a cataclysm felt by her and her alone. In perfect silent violence, the winds are made of shame. The lightning, all the bitter words she will not name aloud. Her private storm. One day the eye will pass, the winds will cease to scream, and she'll survey the landscape of her own internal dream. Now rearrange, the damage will be total, but the air will be so clean, washed free of the old lies that might have been so keen and painful. From the rubble she will start to build a town that's rated for this weather that won't so easily drown in the next private storm. Calm on the surface, her private storm, raging within. The muscles know the motion, a perfect practice lift, a symmetry of corners, a socially useful gift. I've mastered, it's a reflex now, a flash of white and pink. When someone says, "How are you?" before they've time to think, or carrot doesn't reach my eyes, those stay flat and steady gray. The smile is just a decoy to keep the real truth at bay and hidden. It's just a hollow smile, an empty porcelain curve, a useful hollow artifact that I have learned to serve. To the world it holds no warmth, no joy, no crinkle at the edge. It's just a barricade I built upon a crumbling ledge of despair. Oh, this hollow smile, it's my most worn disguise. It greets the morning mirror, and it greets your shocked, hurt eyes in my memory. It used to be a real thing, a breaking of the dawn across my face when you'd walk in. We were still a bond. I broke and it started in my soul and traveled to my skin, involuntary, brilliant, letting all the light within shine out. Now the circuit's disconnected, the source light is dead. The hollow smile is just a puppet moved by wires in my head, marked survivor. It's just a hollow smile, an empty porcelain curve, a useful hollow artifact that I have learned to edge is just a barricade I build upon a crumbling ledge of despair. Oh, this hollow smile, it's my most worn disguise. It greets the morning mirror, and it greets your shocked, hurt eyes. In my memory, one day maybe a real one will sneak up from inside, a chuckle at a puppy or a view I can't hide. My wonder at him for a second, the hollow smile will crack, and something genuine and frail will come shining back through the ruins. But until then, the mask is firmly on, a hollow smile for a hollow heart, from now until the dawn of something real. Lips up, eyes dead, hollow smile. I got the apartment, all the furniture they kept. I won the separation. Can you imagine that? The champion of us is split and a master of the clean. And legal break, I signed the papers with a steady cold routine of detachment. My friends took me out, they toasted my new life. They said you're better off to cut through the emotional strife. Like a knife, it felt like one, but it's a hollow victory. The trophy's made of air. I'm standing in the quiet of a space that's mine to spare. And it echoes, I want the silence, I want the right to sleep. Starfish in the center of a promise I couldn't keep. Either or, this hollow victory, it tastes of dust and spite. I fought so hard to win the battle, but I lost the light of the war. What was I fighting for? I see your face in every item, a ghost in every chair. The victory is just a privilege of living with the hair you left in the drain. I got the books, you got the records, a fair exchange of artifacts from a culture we used to share. And now we split, the division was so equitable, so needed, carved our shit so right in two, from our head down to our feet, and called it. But it's a hollow victory. The trophy's made of air. I'm standing in the quiet of a space that's mine to spare. And it echoes, I want the silence, I want the right to sleep. Starfish in the center of a promise I couldn't keep. Either or, this hollow victory, it tastes of dust and spite. I fought so hard to win the battle, but I lost the light of the war. What was I fighting for? And worth, supposed to be a cause, a flag, a reason why two armies clash. Our war was just a slow and passive diet, feeling the victory lap is just me walking circles in this room, marveling at the emptiness I helped in fact to exhume and claim as mine. A hollow victory. victory is still a victory. They say it means I get to keep on living to face another day alone, hooray. The song was almost over. We played the final verse. The melody was winding down from better to the worse. But where you held the final chord, I held my breath and waited for the resolution, for the sealing of our fate. And sound your fingers hover just above the ivory, deciding on the feeling of our endings, legacy and music. Then you'll play the last note, not major, not minor, but just gray, a single dying vibration meant to simply fade away into nothing. It wasn't triumphant, it wasn't a crash of despair. It was the sound of giving up, the ghost of having care enough to fight. Oh, the last note, it hangs in the air between every silence now, a subtle, constant, haunting sheen on the quiet. I've replayed it in my mind 1,000 times since then, trying to hear a hint of maybe, trying to find the when it all went wrong, encoded in the pitch, the tone, the length. But it's just a note, it holds no secret, it possesses no strength beyond its own existence. It was the period, the end, the last note of the symphony of us, my dearest friend. In love and lost. Then you play the last note, not major, not minor, but just gray, a single dying vibration meant to simply fade away into nothing. It wasn't triumphant, it wasn't a crash of despair. It was the sound of giving up, the ghost of having care enough to fight. Oh, that last note, it hangs in the air between every silence now, a subtle, constant, haunting sheen on the quiet. Maybe all endings have a sound. If we could only hear the closing of a door, the shedding of a tear. And frequency, ours was a middle C, held just a bit too long with the soft pedal depressed. A quiet, peaceful, wrong conclusion. I'll spend my life trying to write the next song start, but I'll always hear your last note echoing in the heart of every new beginning. It's still ringing. Last note never quite fades. Wasn't waves that took her, no ocean, no rough sea, but the quiet in the morning when the clock struck silently on 3 a.m. It was the space between the words in a fight that never came, the vacuum of a goodbye that never earned its name. It filled the room like water rising from the floor, a thick and soundless flood that pushed against the door of her voice until it held her under. She drowned in silence, not a splash, not a cry for air, just a slow descent into the nothing, the unbearable nowhere of unspoken things. The pressure crushed her lungs of all this songing in the deep and weightless quiet is where she now belongs forever. Oh, she drowned in silence, her own personal sound sea, and no one heard the bubbles rise, because of course you see there were none. She tried to speak, to break the surface with a word of gas or plea, but her voice was just a stone that sank into the deep dark deep of his indifference. The more she struggled, the faster she would sink, till fighting seemed a foolish waste of what was left to think or feel. So she let go, she opened up her mouth and let the quiet in, found a cold and peaceful numbness underneath her skin and bone. She drowned in silence, not a splash, not a cry for air, just a slow descent into the nothing, the unbearable nowhere of unspoken things. The pressure crushed her lungs of all their songing in the deep and weightless quiet is where she now belongs forever. Oh, she drowned in silence, her own personal solace, and no one heard the bubbles rise, because of course you see there were none. If you see her now, she seems serene, a calm and placid face. You never guess the fathoms deep, the dark and cold embrace that holds her. She moves through air as if it's water, slow and deliberate, a creature adapted to a pressure that would obliterate a louder soul. She drowned in silence and learned to breathe its liquid life, and now the noisy bright world feels like an attack on her new silent senses. She breathes quiet now, she drowned in silence, and it's peaceful down here. Subaquatic scent past the sound of slow filtered bubbles and a distant moan for piano. The vocal feels submerged with reverb that mimics being underwater. The track fades into the sound of still deep water. I knelt beside our bed, the one that felt too big alone, and I prayed with fervent, desperate words in a shaky monotone to a God I wasn't sure was listening. Please bring him back, I say. or take this love from me. Just show me how to face the day without him. I bargained, I made promises, I wept upon the floor. I prayed until my voice was raw, and I couldn't pray no more for mercy. But it was an unanswered prayer. The phone stayed dark and dead. The love stayed in my chest, a heavy lump of lead and sorrow. No lightning strike of peace, no angel at my door. Just the same four walls and the same ache and the same war. Inside my mind, oh, this unanswered prayer, it's the loudest silence yet. A one-way conversation with a sky of cold regret and indifference. I stopped the kneeling after a while. The ritual felt cheap, a performance for an empty room, a harvest I couldn't reap from barren ground. My prayers turned inward into questions, sharp and thin. Did I not pray right? Was my faith not enough to win your favor? Or worse, the quiet creeping, heretical thought. What if there's no one listening at all, and I have fought this pain for nothing? But it was an unanswered prayer. The phone stayed dark and dead. The love stayed in my chest, a heavy lump of lead and sorrow. No lightning strike of peace, no angel at my door. Just the same four walls and the same ache and the same war. Inside my mind, oh, this unanswered prayer, it's the loudest silence yet. A one-way conversation with a sky of cold regret and indifference. Maybe no is an answer. Maybe the prayer was answered in the stay, in the enduring of the unendurable, day after day. Maybe grace is not the removal of the rock, but the strength to bear its weight. My unanswered prayer taught me that my own breath is a prayer of survival, that the heaven I was seeking was a man, and when he left, I was left with just myself and a God of the bereft and the silent amen. Unanswered prayer. Now I pray only for the dawn. Wrote the melody for you before I knew your name. A gentle rising sequence to ward off any shame or fear. I'd hum it in the shower, a secret hopeful sound for a child we'd have someday on the solid promised ground of our love. I crafted little lyrics, silly rhymes about the moon, the soundtrack for a nursery that would be finished soon, in a house we built. Now it's an unborn lullaby, a song without a sleeper, a melody that's destined now forever to be a keeper of silence. It echoes in the room we painted soft as blue, a ghost of a future that we never will see through. To a crying, hungry dawn, oh, this unborn lullaby is the purest kind of ache for a love that never was, for the parental stakes we never got to claim. I sing it to the emptiness sometimes when the night is long, a private, pointless concert for an audience of wrong. Decisions and notes feel hollow like a birdcage with no bird. The sweetest, saddest music that has ever been heard. But no one, it was a love song for a soul we'd never meet, a promise to a future that lies crumbled at my feet, in dust and maybe. Now it's an unborn lullaby, a song without a sleeper, a melody that's destined now forever to be a keeper of silence. It echoes in the room we painted soft as blue, a ghost of a future that we never will see through. To a crying, hungry dawn, oh, this unborn lullaby, it's the purest kind of ache for a love that never was, for the parental stakes we never got to claim. Maybe it's a mercy that you'll never know this tune, that your tiny ears will never hear it in a sunlit room with my voice. Maybe the unborn lullaby is a gift in its own way to spare you from the fractured love that couldn't find a way to stay whole. But it feels like a death of a specific tender dream, and I am left here humming by the cold and silent stream of what could have been. Hush, little one who never was. Unborn lullaby, sleep in the land of never. It lived behind my teeth for years, a solid rounded stone. My 3 words, 8 letters, wait, I carried all alone. In secret, I'd feel it in the morning when you'd hand me my tea, and in the brutal honesty of night's dark privacy between our sheets, I'd open up my mouth to let it free, but out would come the weather or a weak apology. it's just an unsaid I love you, fossilizing in my throat. The most important sentence that I never wrote. And air for you is calcifying now, a permanent heart lump, a monument to cowardice, a bitter swollen bump on my history. Oh, this sunset, I love you, it will never see the light. It died inside me in the endless lonely night of my silence. I see you in the grocery store with someone else's hand in yours, and the fossil shifts and aches and my whole spirit pours itself into a single silent scream that shakes my frame. The unsaid I love you, now just a holder of your name. And regret you'll never know. You'll think I didn't care enough, when the truth was I cared so much the feeling was too tough to voice. Now it's just an unsaid I love you, fossilizing in my throat. The most important sentence that I never wrote. And air for you is calcifying now, a permanent heart lump, a monument to cowardice, a bitter swollen bump on my history. Oh, this sunset, I love you, it will never see the light. It died inside me in the endless lonely night of my silence. Maybe if I said it, it would have changed the course of rivers of our lives with a simple mighty force. Or maybe it would have just hung there awkward in the air, another piece of pressure that our fragile love couldn't bear. I'll never know. The unsaid I love you is my ghost, my what might be, and it will haunt me longer than you'll ever haunt me with your absence. I love you, unsaid I love you. Now unsayable forever. It sits inside a shadow box upon the wall of grey, a curated museum piece from a never-was wedding day. I dreamed of lilies of the valley, tiny bells of white, a ribbon of French silk that caught the hypothetical light. In my mind's eye, I bought it for myself, a foolish tender act, to hold the shape of a promise, a tangible sweet fact of a hope that died before the hour. Now it's a wilted bridal bouquet, a dried up dusty prayer for a walk I never took, in a dress I didn't wear. For you the white has turned to parchment, the green to ash and gray, a perfect preserved sorrow in a most pathetic way on display. Oh, there's a wilted bridal bouquet, it's a relic be broken. Now it's a wilted bridal bouquet, a dried up dusty pear, for a walk I never took, in a dress I didn't wear. For you the white has turned to parchment, the green to ash and gray, a perfect preserved sorrow in a most pathetic way on display. Oh, this wilted bridal bouquet, it's a relic of a yes that turned into a silence in a lonely deep distress. I keep behind glass. Should I take it down, bury it, have my own private quiet right? But that feels like a performance, a drama in the night. For no one, so it stays a conversation piece for guests who never come. A private altar in my hallway, feeling deaf and dumb. To joy the wilted bridal bouquet is my truth in floral form, a story of a hope that couldn't weather the storm of reality. Never thrown, wilted bridal bouquet, preserved in its almost